showing you the highlights of our Club Sprint Championship event that happened on a Wednesday night on Project Cars 2 for PS4. This is going to be round 3, or race 3, sorry, race 3, round 2. Race 3 is the M1 Procar series, and we are at round 2 at Sugo, Sports on Sugo. We've just seen the footage of the Formula Rookies in race 2, and in race 1 we had the Ginetta GT5 Championships. This one is the BMW Pro Car, so this is a slightly faster car. We're going to see a lot of issues here with tyre wear, because these cars are on default setups and they're going to be using soft tyres. The temperature, as you can see in the skies, the weather, it's getting warmer from previous races, so tyre wear here is going to be a major issue. Last round out at Rapana Park Club circuit, we saw Lord of Lincoln take his first victory with his teammate Rnd.2 taking second. 8ball took third with Jeff Spencer, an amazing fourth position. Wayne ended up in fifth, Inter All Sorts in sixth, Nathbit seventh, Sam Slumvinger in eighth, and iStude in ninth. That was round 1. Here at round 2, let's go and take a look at how the random grid turned out. So on pole sees Nathbit in a very interesting coloured livery there. Kingy, we've seen Kingy in the last 2 rounds finish P2 in both races, race 1 and race 2. He starts in P2 and the third race of the M1 Pro Car. Sam Thumbfinger in that yellow and black livery, he starts in third. He's alongside Jeff Spencer in a very nice black and white livery, number 82 car there. iStude, he sits in fifth alongside newcomer Bullen. Bullen unable to make race 1 and race 2. He's here for race 3 though, so it'll be very interesting to see how he fares in his first race out. And also note to him, he's actually we've got full damage on here, or performance impacting damage, so let's see how he races here. 8ball fits in 7th, with last time current champion leader, last runner out Lord of Lincoln, he sits in 8th place. Inter All Sorts is in 9th, with Wayne in 10th. Ambient Stubb sits in 11th place, and again another newcomer, Charlie Goff, is in 12th, with Ollie behind him. We saw Ollie in the last round last time out. Unfortunately, we didn't have the footage to show you for that, but Ollie was there, and he is here for his maiden journey out in the BMW Pro Cars. So this is race 3 of round 2 here at Sugo in the M1 Pro Cars. We have 9 laps to show you, so let's see how this race unfolded. The cars are revving up and the lights go green and we're away. It's a good start from the leaders. The guys in the back of the grid are pulling away nicely. Everyone jottering for position. We're going to turn 1. Nathbit gets a nice lead there. Sam Thumbfinger looking on the outside to put King under pressure. Not able to make it through. It's a bit of argy-bargy happening a bit further back, but no one's come through there. Everyone seems to go through initially. There's a car gone sideways there. There's a red and white car of, is that Ambient or Lord of Lincoln further back? It was Lord of Lincoln, and he's into the wall. And Ollie is there with him as well. There's a few other cars there. Wayne's caught up in that commotion. There's 3 drivers at the back, Inter All Sorts, and is that Bullen there getting into a moment in the back of the grid as well. Inter All Sorts is free, but there's a lot of commotion happening earlier on in the race. Yeah, further out front, Nathbit's been able to pull a lead as we're coming down the hill. Yeah, he's nice win clear now. He's come around the corner. He's got Kingy for company, a second or so behind. Sam Thumbfinger is right there, as is 8ball. iStude, his teammate, is just behind, a second behind at Ambient. Stubb, good start from him. He's made his way through the grid after all this early chaos. Jeff Spencer's there in 7th. Inter All Sorts to make his way through the grid rather quickly. He's now past Charlie Goff. He started quite way down the grid, but was involved in all that commotion. We see Ollie, Bullen, Wayne and Lord of Lincoln, especially Lord of Lincoln, have dropped considerably off the pace now. They are further back behind the grid. We're jumping on board here with Kingy, and we're seeing him. He's trying to close that gap down to Nathbit ahead, who's was fastest out on track at 1:28.3 in the last lap, 2 seconds or so quicker than the rest of the grid, which is not something we see from Nathbit actually. He's not known for his hot lapping, but seems to be very comfortable in N1 Procar. That being said, though, the rest of the field is under a lot of pressure. Kingy is breaking away a little bit from Sam, so expect to see those faster lap times coming in now. Sam is under pressure from 8 Ball. This is something we saw happen in the Formula Rookies, but 8 Ball has a moment as we come around the very tricky right-hander to go onto this back downhill straight. That's given Sam the time to take a bit of air and try and close up the gap to Kingy in second. Further back down the grid, we've got Jeff Spencer in 7th. He's under pressure here from Ollie, and Bullen is very close behind. Jeff Spencer looking very racy in this N1 Pro car. Ollie did a bit of a dab on the brakes there. Jeff Spencer with a different line. He's a driver who does favour a slower entry speed, likes to keep the car in a higher gear. As we see a little debris there on the final corner. Is that been some collisions there? And there is a car off the track there on the left hand side. That is Sam Thumbfinger from second place. He is off from the on the final corner. We see him trying to rejoin the track, and there's Wayne there. He's carrying a bit of damage as Sam dives into the pits. Considerable damage there on his car. That Sam Thumbfinger's race potentially over. He's going to be in there for a long time picking up that repairs. Lord Lincoln is in 12th. He's got damage too, so the guys at the back of the grid got a serious damage. An ambient stub. He's dropped down from 5th to 9th. Something has happened there, and he's lost a bit of space. And there's another car there behind. That's Charlie Goff in the gold and white livery. He's off the track. This race is turning out to be quite the entertaining race here, as we're watching Ollie coming down the hill. He's putting pressure on into all sorts. Behind Jeff has got Bullen for company. Bullen's first race out in these M1 Pro cars. These are very good cars to run on stock setups, so very easy to control. They do like to get sideways, but you can use that to get around the corners quite nicely. But the first opening laps has been a little bit of mayhem. All clean driving so far. A couple of contacts. Potentially could be a bit of netcode. We're not quite sure. But we have seen some relatively clean driving. We're on to lap 4. Very quickly on to lap 4 here. We're watching Ambient Stub chase down Bullen and Jeff Spencer. Jeff Spencer's looking to defend here. He's not able to on this occasion though. And Bullen is through up into P7. Although saying that, the two drivers do have a bit of a moment. The car goes sideways, and that's Wayne off the circuit there on the inside. He must have taken considerably more damage. Ambient Stub looks to go round the outside of Jeff Spencer and up into P7. See the drivers are on track, and Ambient Stub now is trying to chase down Bullen. Out front, Nethbit is holding that 1.5 second gap. Bullen is closing in though. It is Nethbit out front, Kingy second, 8 Ball third. Into all sorts after having a moment in lap 1. He's in P4, Ollie P5, Bullen we're watching P6, Ambient in 7. Jeff Spencer in 8th, Ice 2 9th, Wayne in 10th as Bullen goes deep into the right-hander, and that's allowed Ambient Stub through. He'll be wanting to climb through the grid as quickly as he can. He's 16 seconds adrift of the front runner, Nathbit, who is surprisingly holding his own and is going on to lap 5. The rest of the grid, you have Charlie Goth in 10th, Lord of Lincoln in 11th, Wayne in 12th, and Sam Thumbfinger, who's is back out on track, I believe, after taking a lot of time for repairs. His race is done, but we're waiting to see how he can fare from there. As we say at front, it's Nathbit on lap 5. He has a 1.3 second advantage over Kingy. Kingy is closing that gap down. Tyre wear is going to start to be an issue here as we watch this BMW run a little bit wide there for Nathan. Kingy has a very narrower line. He gets to the corner quicker and on the power, hones it down the hill. 8 Ball behind. He's putting King in the pressure. Watching that gap closing for the rise. Ollie further back. He's dropped behind, 30 seconds behind this front group here. But he still has Inter for company. So we'll wait to see how these guys turn out. But very sideways through these corners from Nathan. Dab of the brakes gets the back end round and back onto the power. I wonder if that's a bit of tyre wear coming into it as your early days. We're watching back here with Inter All Sorts. He's got Ambient Stub for company. These two drivers know each other very well. So we'll see if any of these two guys can fight their way past Olu, who's having a fantastic race out of his first competitive race in the M1 Pro Cars here at Fresh Sim Racing. Let's take a moment, take a breath. It's been a very, very fast-paced 5 laps as we go on to lap 6. Out front, Kingy was pretty much took a second at an 8th bit's time there as Inter All Sorts gets off the racing line to adhere to a slowdown penalty. Watch Young on board. Here's a bit of damage on that front of the car. You can see raised there. That would have been the early contact they had it early on in the race. So he'll be suffering with some aero damage as Ambient Stub is up into 5th, and he's going to be putting pressure on Ollie. Bullen is making his way around behind in 7th. He's having quite a quiet race but doing well. Ice Stew's up into 8th. A good race from him. Out front, Nathan on lap 6. He's under a lot more pressure now from Kingy. Kingy has closed that gap down to under half a second as we come into the 2 left-handers. Again, the white car and Nathbit out front getting very slidey, very sideways through these 2 left-handers. It had a little bit of side wear there. I was wondering if it was going off track for a moment. It did sound very ominous, but not the case as we travel up the hill. Kingy using the slipstream to his advantage to close down this gap. 8Ball has dropped off the back of these 2 front runners. Kingy is in a world of his own in this car at the minute. Race 1 and race 2 he was able to pick up P2s. He wants to better that here in race 3. 8Ball in 3rd. He's looking comfortable unless there's a major mistake there. He shouldn't be under any pressure there. Ollie 4th and Ambient Stub still behind in 5th. Inter has dropped back with his aero damage. He must be struggling for top end speed. Watching Nathbit on lap 7 come round and he's hit a bit of the grass. Oh no, he's gone straight into the wall. That's our race leader into the wall and has got a massive damage for sure. He had a rear wheel on the grass there and the car just went sideways. We're watching the his car going all over the shot. Yeah, another clip into the barrier there for good measure. It's definitely got suspension damage for sure. 7 laps in the lead, but unfortunately is currently sat in P3 and is surely going to be at risk of being overtaken by a number of drivers behind. This leaves Kingy to break away out front. He has a 2-second advantage over Mikey in 2nd position. He'll be happy to take the P2. He'll want the P1 for sure, so with the 2 remaining laps he'll put the pressure down. Nathbit already 8 seconds behind as we see him go round and into the wall. The suspension damage just not working for this car. As we see the car behind Ollie. No, Ollie's had a moment. He's took out the barriers. There's absolutely chaos on the final corner. Serious damage for Ollie as well. Nathbit is really struggling to keep this car on the road. Ollie is out as well. He's going to be heading straight for the pits with serious damage. Ambient Stub is up into 3rd, although he has serious damage as well. Inter All Sorts has been caught up in some of this commotion. Nathbit's into the pits. Inter All Sorts is in 6th. Ice Dude in 7th. We'll see how this all fares out. Yeah, Ollie's in, so Inter is up into 4th. Ice into 5th. That should see Jeff Spencer. Jeff Spencer is now coming up and he is going to be in P6 as well. Out front, it's a fantastic race so far for Kingy. He's lost a little bit of time actually to 8Ball behind. The gap is now under a second. And we saw absolute chaos happening on the end of lap 7. Our race leader for 7 laps having a massive moment into the wall. And one of the following drivers in Ollie also having a moment causing chaos on the final corner as we're watching Kingy climb the hill. He's just got such a better run off that final corner. He's up the hill, breaking the toe to 8Ball behind, and somehow 30 seconds behind we have Inter in 3rd position. He was not expecting this at the start. He had a bit of a pinball with a number of the drivers, but he finds himself in P3 and increasing the gap to Ambient Stub behind, who's definitely follow up on his name at the front of his car there. Definitely had a bit of a stub. Ice Dude is behind. He's going to want to put Ambient Stub under pressure. Can he take it? He has a look on the inside. Ambient Stub must have serious damage on that car. He got caught up in a number of collisions of the bollards when Ollie took them out. Unfortunately, they exited the course. Jeff Spencer is the next driver to come flying past. And Jeff Spencer is into 5th. Ambient is dropping down the order. He comes into the pits. Is that for repairs or for a penalty? We don't know. Out front, it's on the last lap, and Kingy is coming round over half of a minute in front of the rest of the field. Himself and 8-Ball should be a comfortable 1-2, failing a driver error from Kingy out front. Nice and smooth as they climb this very steep hill onto the home straight, and it is Kingy who will take his maiden victory. 2 P2s and 1 P1. Mikey 8-Ball takes a very well deserved second. He's happy, flashing of the M1 Pro lights. Now we've got 30 seconds back as we watch into all sorts. He's nursing that car around in P3. A number of cars with a number of damage. We did mention that tyre wear was going to be a serious issue with this car on this surface. Under default setups, the soft tyre would just eat away if you put the tyres under extreme stress. Into all sorts of fantastic race from him. He manages to miracle a P3. Ice2 gets the best result of the night for him. He's in P4th. And Jeff Spencer, a good result for Jeff Spencer. He takes P5. Lord of Lincoln, and I believe that's Sam Thumbfinger unlapping himself after considerable damage, but he's not going to be last on the grid. Lord of Lincoln takes 6. Wayne is going to take P7, but he has got Ambient Stub for company, and it is Wayne who takes P7, Ambient Stub P8. Charlie Goff takes P9. Sam Thumbfinger, even after that damage, he takes P10. Nathbit there in P11, Ollie P12, and Bullen. Something happened to Bullen during the race. He takes P13. I wonder if he got terminal damage and was unable to finish, sat in the pits. So we take a look at your race leader, the race winner here. It was Kingy who takes the flag and takes all the points. But it was Inter All Sorts with the fastest lap. For that was certainly the most eventful race of the night so far. For race 3, there are 2 more races to go. The race 4 is the Lotus 25, the vintage F1D car around here, which is got fantastic views. You will see that shortly. And there's also the race 5, the Ferrari 488, the very highly powered Ferrari 488 series car around Sports and Sugo. If you enjoyed this race, don't forget to drop a thumbs up, a like on the post. If you're enjoying watching fresh sim racing content, don't forget to subscribe. If you fancy joining us on PS4 on Project Cars 2, there is our link for the Discord in the description. We'll hope to see you there. Thank you very much for joining us for race 3. Keep an eye out for race 1, race 2, and the final 2 races from our Club Sprint Racing events, which will be online with you shortly.